crisis report. It is December 4th, 2024. Not hours and hours of stuff here, but a lot of political earthquakes and crazy stuff going on. We're calling this Bitcoin 100K, France government crumbles, but there's so much more. More things going on in Syria, more things going on. I don't know how the ceasefire in Israel and Hezbollah, Lebanon is still going, but somehow it is. Numerous things. Earlier today, we started off with the Russians firing warning shots against the Germans. I mean, it is just world on fire. So we're going to be talking all about it. All I can say is we're going to start with France and we're going to end with France. I have a video coming out on PrepperNow at 11:30 if you guys would like to check that out. So I put that out first and we'll dovetail into that sucker so we can go over from here over to there. But a lot of craziness, things going on. I mean, the world is just not doing so hot right now. I've never seen so many conflict points. So it's important for you to keep doing the things, keep getting your house ready, stay out of debt, do smart maneuvers with your money, buy used, don't buy brand new. Pick up things on the barter market or on the Facebook marketplace or on Craigslist or eBay for cheap. Do all the things that are going to make it so you are financially prepared for what is to come. And we think there's a lot of problems on the horizon. And if you listen to this report, well, you'll figure that out pretty quickly. So also, I want to announce that I will be doing a live stream on Sunday at 7 p.m. I have Modern Refugee, fantastic prepper. He's going to be on there. I've got Roaming Prepper, smart guy. He's going to be on there. I've got Prepper Dog coming, super stoked. I've done live streams with him before, but I'm really excited to get him back. I always love talking to him. Super great guy. And then, of course, one of my mods and one of my personal favorites, Hudson Valley Preparedness, will be on there as well. We're calling it the 5 Wise Men of Prepping. I just made that up for whatever. We're probably no smarter than you are, but we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff for about an hour, hour and a half. Just a nice, super awesome prepping live stream on what's going on in the world, things to consider, and more. And we certainly hope that you will join us on Sunday. So I'll probably be creating a space for it on my StreamYard here pretty soon to get it all ready. But all I can say, folks, is that get prepping. Keep doing the things. We are really in a precarious spot. There's conflict all over the world, and every day there's a new place where something busts out. Georgia is not doing right now, the country of Georgia. Korea is, after, I don't even know what the heck you would have called yesterday. The president is still intact. He's trying to survive a impeachment vote. He's got his political party with him. He's accusing of the other side of being agents for the North Koreans on the Korean Peninsula, which is a incredibly big flashpoint and has been for well over 50, 60, 70 years now. A lot of things coming. So keep doing the things. This is your crisis report for December 4th, 2024. France is running a budget deficit well beyond EU rules, and its government debt is similarly outsized in European terms and growing. Barnier says that without decisive action, the country will lose the confidence of the markets, something borne out by the bond markets since the crisis started. Crisis came to a head this week when France's Prime Minister Michel Barnier was due to present part of his budget package for parliamentarian approval. The government parties together form about a third of the Assemblée Nationale, and Barnier knew he would not pass his budget in the face of opposition from the two main other blocs, the left and far right. At this chart, there's a united government still falls short of the majority in the Assemblée Nationale. This wouldn't matter if enough other members abstained, but Barnier's opponents had made it clear that they intended to vote against. And that vote has happened, and it is not good. Unprecedented things that have not been seen in 60 years plus in France, but we're going to cover it tonight. By the way, one of my favorite things in the world is going and watching all the channels tomorrow talk about the stuff that we're talking about right here, right now, tonight. Every single day I go out, and, I'm not talking down on them, but they talk about the things that we talk well ahead of them by 12 hours plus. So thanks for being here at the Crisis Report, most comprehensive news on YouTube. Initial reports of an altercation between a Russian naval asset and a German naval asset in the Baltic Sea. Russian vessel in the Baltic Sea fired a signal flare at a German military helicopter conducting a reconnaissance. Helicopter responded with evasive maneuvers. So a Putin warship opened fire on the German Army helicopter on recon mission in the Baltic Sea. Shocking confrontation. It comes after the Kremlin fired a 6,900 mile per hour hypersonic missile in a major warning to the West. So major stuff there. Internet cable that connects Finland and Sweden was cut on Monday. Cable break took place between Sweden and Finland, says the Swedish public broadcasting company. 6,000 households were without the internet. This is not an undersea cable, okay? This was an overland one. So just to make that differentiation. Syria, United States Air Force conducted the morning airstrikes and sorties on Iran-backed militants in the Deir ez-Zor F-15 warplanes. Happens after yesterday's intensive airstrikes in the same region, compared with the ground operation by U.S.-backed SDF forces in the region. Syria, Israeli air strike near Damascus International Airport targeted a car, resulting in the death of one person. Syrian Arab Army started a counteroffensive against jihadist alliance, almost reaching the outskirts of Aleppo in the direction from Al-Safera. Syria, Russia evacuated its first naval assets from Tartus. Reports indicate as Russian Navy-related auxiliary vessels Yahya have been departed December 2nd, 2024, as jihadists gain more grounds. There's actually reports of firing. We're going to cover that later in that area. Some tit-for-tat, back-and-forth weapons use. France and the UK considering troop deployment to the line of contact in the eastern sector for the ceasefire monitoring, sources have told, according to Yahoo. Syria, President Assad has asked Israel for support in the fight against the jihad insurgency, according to ATO Breaking. Recently stated that in the analysis, the possibility of Israel annexation in the southern sector, Dakhra, Sueda sector near Golan. HTS SNA jihadists launched offensive toward Kurdish stronghold Manbij after withdrawing of the SDF YPG forces from Aleppo, Syria. Heavy battles in the outskirts reaching areas taking place without any support by allied forces of the United States Army Air Force, who is busy in Deir ez-Zor with the war there. Alert info from Chinese PLA propaganda-related account that Beijing is ready to implement measures that allow Trump to establish martial law in the United States. China, in contrast, will get into the power in the eastern western shores. It's this guy named Zhao Deshuai. They really did try to tie that thing yesterday to Trump somehow, which is a stretch. So I guess this guy was piling on. South Korea's opposition leader said situation with the declaration of martial law in the country could provoke the DPRK and lead to clashes, according to Yonhap. Hap. South Korea's opposition says it will begin impeachment proceedings unless the president resigns. High-ranking DPRK delegation headed for talks to Moscow. Syria, Assad has the legitimate right to invite the military to intervene against foreign terrorists. Foreign Minister Sayed Abbas said Tehran is waiting for such a step because they are ready to send troops. China interested in destabilizing South Korea in favor of a foiled martial law. According to Yonhap, Hap, China also takes great interest in martial law situation. It is something that cannot be accepted by Korean society. South Korea, the Ministry of National Defense, police, etc. are completely prohibited from entering the National Assembly starting today, Secretary General of the National Assembly of the Republic of Korea said. Ukraine, Russian armed forces are preparing for a large-scale offensive in Kherson. 300 boats have already been prepared to cross the Dnieper River. Head of the Kherson OVA Prokudin in an interview with FT. This is might be related to getting around towards Odessa. Russia, Chechnya, UAV strike this morning on the building of Kadyrev's Special Purpose Police Regiment in Grozny, Chechen Republic. Trump excludes Ukraine's NATO membership from his peace plan, according to Reuters. NATO is planning to create a fleet of unmanned naval vehicles to protect the alliance's infrastructure in the Baltic and Mediterranean seas. NATO Supreme Allied Commander Transformation Pierre Vendieu. This came out after repeated suspect attacks on critical undersea communication cables. Democratic Party of South Korea, main opposition party in the country, has called for President Yoon Suk-yeol to immediately step down following, look at you. Who is that there? Winning streak, thank you so much. Called for President Yoon Suk-yeol to immediately step down following his martial law declaration yesterday and apparent failed military coup against the parliament. United States, amid the situation with the introduction and cancellation of martial law in South Korea, has postponed joint exercises on nuclear defense or deterrence against North Korea, according to Yonhap. Syria against Turkey. Terrorist attack on northern Syria was of such a scale and complexity that it could not have occurred without Turkish operational directives. Syria's UN representative Kusey Dakak stated that the terrorist attack on northern Syria reflects the backing of regional and international actors, including Turkish operational support, using terrorism as a tool to advance foreign policy goals and undermine the Syrian state. Tonight, U.S. House of Representatives commemorated the death of the late Omer Nutra, who was murdered on October 7th and was kidnapped into Gaza. Members of Congress from both parties representing the state of New York, where the Nutra family lives, displayed Omer's photo on the stage of Congress and spoke in his memory. In accordance with the IDF policy, following the launch of a rocket from the area, new evacuation order was issued in an area near Khan Yunis, Gaza. Official Iranian news agency launched a wild attack against Turkey and Erdogan because Erdogan did not comply with Iran's demand to stop the Sunni rebels in Syria. Assad can mobilize the Kurds to attack Turkey, and if a coup occurs in Turkey, Iran will not support Erdogan. In addition, tourism, which contributes significantly to Turkey's economy, may suffer if armed men destabilize Turkey, meaning that Iran will encourage its proxies to carry out attacks on Turkey or carry out a coup. Back to the old days of the Shias versus the Sunnis. For the first time since the ceasefire, the Lebanese army is being deployed across the areas that the IDF withdrew from. An internal Hamas memo states that the terror organization has information about Israel's intention to carry out a hostage rescue operation similar to the one carried out by Israel in central Gaza last June, operation in which 4 hostages were rescued alive. An IDF investigation has concluded that 6 hostages whose bodies have been recovered in a special operation from Khan Yunis in August. Nadav Popelwell, Yagev Buchstab, Yoram Metzger, Chaim Perry, Alex Danzig, and Avraham Munder were murdered by their captors and not by IDF airstrikes as claimed by Gaza. As a response to Trump's threat, the Yazis of Hamas in Gaza have threatened to execute all of the abductees. IDF spokesman says that the IDF continues to act against Hezbollah's actions that pose a threat to the state of Israel and violate the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. An Air Force aircraft under the direction of the Northern Command attacked a launcher identified in the Majdal Zun area and pose a threat to the state of Israel in violation of the understandings between Israel and Lebanon. IDF forces destroyed munitions found in the area of Al-Qaim, a Swana, and Aitarun in southern Lebanon. IDF is deployed in southern Lebanon and acts against any threat that endangers the state of Israel. Congress is considering legislation titled the Crucial Communism Teaching Act, which aims to teach high schoolers about the horrors and massacres committed by communist regimes. I do this because we have to go through an environment, a financial structure of government portion, and we talk about communism and command control governments, talk about, Adam Smith, Wealth of Nations, capitalism, all that kind of stuff. But what I do is I tell them, from here, we're going to grade you all the same, and we're going to average out your grades. So all the students that are in there, you just wonderfully got a C- grade average. Is that fair to the people working to get the A's? They look at me usually, and every single person in the room says, no, we don't want that. And I said, well, there you go. There's your little taste of communism right there. President Biden appears to be dozing off during an African summit in Angola. Tbilisi, Georgia, seventh night of unrest is kicked off. Streets there are alive with unrest for the seventh consecutive night, and the scene filled with tension and emotion. Patrick Lancaster, on the ground in Georgia's capital, captures the dramatic unfolding of a protest movement triggered by a controversial announcement from the ruling Georgian Dream Party. The decision to delay talks of European Union accession until 2028 sparked a wave of protests. Iran has deployed members of Hezbollah and Iraq Shiite militias to Syria. They're awaiting orders to fight. French Prime Minister has automatically given his resignation to President Emmanuel Macron after 311 votes in favor of the no-confidence motion. Government, all ministers are de facto overthrown. First time government has had this happen since 1962. Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, is violently artillery shelling the Hama airport, where a large Syrian Arab army force is holding out. Pro-Turkish outlets report internet networks are now down in Hama City following the reported rebel advance. Georgian government arrested opposition politician Aleko Aleshvili, one of the four leaders of the four main pro-EU opposition parties. Major General of Georgia's National Guard, or Gendarmerie, Georgi Alexej, announced he wants the government to be overthrown. This is a general. Big stuff. Beginning of a revolt in the armed forces of Georgia, Georgi Alexej, Major General of the State Security, addressed the armed forces, urging them to clearly express their stance and affirm their loyalty to the homeland and the Georgian people. Terror have been taken out in control of the strategic town of Al-Sa'an. Road between Hama and the eastern junction of Ithria is now cut. The Syrian Arab Army's counter-offensive on Aleppo is becoming impossible from the direction. Israel airstrike on Al-Mawasi area west of Khan Yunis. Number of killed rose to 17. A result of the bombing targeted a camp for displaced persons. A lot of people really put off by this. A lot of the same accusations like we used to hear in the early days of the Israel versus Gaza thing, where they were accusing them of doing terrible things against innocent people. France, Paris has fallen into political abyss after no confidence vote against Macron. Zelensky calls for strengthening of the Eastern Front against Russian advances. Ukrainian President Zelensky, of Volodymyr, has called for a major reinforcement of the 1,000-kilometer, 600-mile front line in eastern Ukraine, where Russian forces have made steady gains in recent months. Zelensky made his appeals. The Russian Defense Ministry said its troops had captured the two new villages in the Donetsk and Zaporozhye regions Donetsk directions need significant reinforcements. This includes, in particular, the supply of weapons from our partners, Zelensky said. Gaza, new evacuations order affects more than 2,000 in Khan Yunis. Over 2,000 people have been displaced by an Israeli evacuation order in Gaza's Khan Yunis, according to the UN on Tuesday. OCHA warned that evacuating 80% of Gaza leaves civilians exposed to danger and without essential services. Agency noted that the North Gaza governorate has been under siege for 2 months, leaving 65 to 75,000 people without access to food, water, electricity, or medical care. South Korean opposition lawmakers have moved to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol after his failed attempt to impose martial law. The motion will be debated and may go to a vote this week. New details on Trump's peace plan for Ukraine. Territorial concessions. Large parts of Ukraine will be ceded to Russia in the foreseeable future. Crimea's annexation would be implicitly recognized, along with the significant portions of Donetsk, Lugansk, Zaporozhye, and Kherson under Russian control. Ukraine would be required to abandon its NATO aspirations as part of negotiated peace. Military aid to Ukraine would be halted unless it agrees to talks, but significantly increased if Russia refuses to negotiate. Ukraine would receive security assurances, including potential military aid post-agreement, but these are vaguely defined and contingent upon negotiations. And some proposals from key advisors. They have different details. Keith Kellogg suggests freezing current battle lines as part of an agreement. J.D. Vance advocates for a heavily fortified demilitarized zone along the front lines. Richard Grenell proposes autonomous zones in eastern Ukraine, but rejects Ukraine's NATO membership. Armenia no longer considers itself part of the CSTO member, with no return possible, says Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan. Point of no return has been crossed. Russian and Assad regime forces reportedly withdrew from Ain al-Arab, Ain Issa, and Tel al-Sama in eastern Euphrates, moving in long convoys towards Tabak. It is confirmed, if confirmed, this is a major development. Explosions heard in Tartus, and Russian warships in the port have launched missile strikes on targets in Syria. Nationwide blackout has hit Cuba. Trump picks pro-crypto Atkins to replace Gary Gensler as SEC chair. Multiple people were stabbed in downtown Vancouver, British Columbia, police say. Reuters reports that the United States and the UAE have made an offer to Syrian President Assad to cut all ties with Iran in exchange for the lifting of sanctions. Plan, which Reuters refused to report, includes stopping the territories who are... who are arming them to attack Syria as well. Blinken wants Ukraine to start recruiting kids. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says the U.S. believes Ukraine needs to get younger people into the fighting against Russia. He says making sure the people are there to fight against Russia is essential to discuss. UK Health Security Agency, HSA, today announced a contract with CSL Seqirus to buy more than 5 million doses of human H5 avian flu, jibbity jab, to prepare for a potential influenza moment. France's government collapses as conservatives. Prime Minister have lost the vote for the first time in over 60 years. Paris's government is forced into resignation due to conservative Prime Minister Barnier losing its no-confidence vote by country's left-wing parliament. Left-wing NFP alliance opposing Barnier secured 331 votes for surpassing the 288 needed to collapse the government. Russian warship fired a German helicopter. Not a line out of World War II history book, but a breaking event. Yes, this happened. According to conflicting reports, sparking fears of a WW to the 123 outbreak, as Moscow's ship accused of launching signal ammunition of Berlin's chopper over Baltic Sea, according to the latter's media sources. Germany's Foreign Minister Baerbock allegedly made announcement at NATO conference, though not disclosing when alleged event took place, repeating reports in her country's press. Reports say Baerbock also called for immediate escalation through ramping up intelligence in Baltic Sea due to the increase in hybrid attacks from Ukraine. And Syrian civil war update. Rapid shifts in the northern front. Situation in Syria has taken a dramatic turn. Syrian opposition forces have launched a swift and unexpected offensive, capturing significant territories, including the major city of Aleppo. This advance was allowed them to push through regime defensive lines in the northern Hama countryside, bringing them closer to the strategic city of Hama. In response to the Assad regime's support from Russian and Iranian allies has intensified airstrikes and deployed reinforcements to halt the insurgents' momentum. Conflict has resulted in significant casualties, displacement of civilians, further expanding the humanitarian crisis. To help you navigate these complex developments, they've created an upgraded map. Good for you. President of El Salvador, Nayib Bukele, shares the Bitcoin profit that he has made after it skyrocketed $100,000. It is nuts. It has gone to this height. Missouri proposes a ban on central bank digital currencies and recognizes gold and silver as legal tender. More than 1 million Americans have made their data compromised or had their data compromised in one of the largest Chinese cyber attacks ever, giving hackers the ability to listen to conversations and read messages. And Bitcoin has topped $100,000 for the first time as the massive rally rolls on after Trump picks the crypto advocate to lead the SEC. Natural Crisis Report, friends. December 4th, 2024. Right after this, you've got PrepperNow coming on with a video in about 90 seconds. And on Sunday, you've got my super awesome live stream with 4 other preppers called the 5 Wise Men of Prepping. We're going to talk about everything. And we got a lot going on. So, please, hit those links in the description. Get filled up with the PrepperNow community. And come back for more. Darken that bell if you're new here. Leave a comment, like, join as a member, like some of the fine people you'll see here in green. And we would love to have you. $2 a month gets you all this and keeps the lights on for us. We really appreciate you. God bless, friends. See you over on PrepperNow. Okay, go on over there and get ready because that video is probably in the countdown phase as we speak. All right? God bless. We'll see you in the next one.